Hello World Wide Web, I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair, and it's time for another giant monster movie from the 60s. In its original language, this would be called a giant monster movie. That's because today's review is Gorgo, a British movie from 1961. Distributed by MGM, Gorgo was made as a homage to Godzilla, even going so far as having been originally slated to take place in Japan. After some rethinking, though, it was decided that it might be better if they set this particular tale in the British Isles. Though it said at one point they considered setting this movie in Australia, but allegedly they felt like no one would care if Australia was destroyed. However, I think it's far more likely that the Aussies themselves just wouldn't be fazed by a giant monster stomping through the countryside. Whatever the case may be, Gorgo is about a strange creature from the sea, hiding away for millions of years until one day mankind trips across it and does every stupid thing you can imagine to ensure there's going to be plenty of mass destruction to fill out the running time. So let's take a look at Gorgo and see just how staggeringly high the body count rises. The film opens on a boat off the coast of Ireland. This is a salvage vessel, recovering some valuables while keeping a watchful eye on some troublesome volcanic activity nearby.
Come on, let's get out of here. Wait a minute, Sam. There's thousands of dollars worth of stuff in that old rust bucket.
And you know he can't resist those British dollars. The diver is Joe Ryan, played by Bill Travers, and Sam here is portrayed by William Sylvester. Joe says they got plenty of time, just keep an eye on the bubbling and let him go for another sweep, lining their pockets with sweet, sweet money. Somehow 10 minutes turns into 30 though, but don't worry, he comes back up just in time to catch this.
Secure forward, Derek!
A volcanic island rising out of the sea! Like just the island, the magma's already cooled. It looks like a nice place to kick back. That is until it explodes, because volcanic activities means volcanoes spawn in and then erupt. Thus, it's not the underwater seismic activity, but the above sea level lava spewing everywhere that suddenly causes the ocean currents to throw the salvage ship around, violently thrashing it to the point where we'd think they'd have to be salvaged themselves. As it seems, though, this was only a minor setback.
Not as bad as I thought, Joe. How long to get it into shape?
Rudder stock's bent. A couple of sprung plates.
Uh-huh.
That mess on deck, 3 or 4 days.
Just enough time to really open up to each other and find out that deep down, there is nothing love can't accomplish. For the last time, we're not in the Navy. One slight problem with their ability to eke out a few days on this boat is the fact that they are fresh out of water. Fortunately, there is an island nearby where they might be able to restock. However, they soon find out things around here are a little weird.
The whole ocean bottom must have been torn up.
And this is why the sea is suddenly full of the result of leaving a Magikarp in a daycare with a tentacruel? And no reason to ever bring that up again. They've got to find their way around the port.
Hi. Is there a harbor master we can talk to?
How do you end with the niche?
Gaelic, huh?
Gaelic we're not supposed to understand. In English, it's translated to, "What will we do now?" Makes sense the second time he says it, and I guess it's just the only phrase in Gaelic the man knows. Nevertheless, the direction the man flung his hand happens to be the Harbor Master's house, whom isn't home right now, so instead, we are introduced to Sean, played by Vincent Winter.
You say the harbor master lives here?
Yes, but it's a city man he is. A government man.
Well, who is he? What's he do?
He's the Harbor Master. He masters the harbor? That's only a part-time job, evidently. Turns out the Harbor Master McCartan is an archaeologist, and Sean is all ready to show the two men here the fantastic Viking relics they've been fishing up in these waters. Everything from swords to foreshadowing.
That's Ogra, the sea spirit.
An ancient Viking legend. Which likely has absolutely nothing to do with the movie monster if the volcanic activity earlier today just released it after millions of years of dormancy, but never let mind little pesky details like that. Because it's time to introduce McCartan, played by Christopher Rhodes. He's not too happy to see the salvagers poking around his discoveries.
This stuff has no real value, except to us eggheads.
Who will gladly pay top dollar for rare and unusual finds. Face it, McCartan, you're just a salvager with pretense. He's in an awful hurry to get them out of there, though, saying no ships are allowed more than 24 hours without a permit. So, if you please, get the fuck off my island.
Hey, how about fresh water?
We'll give you that.
Thanks.
Fuck, man, as long as you're asking, why not some Dr. Pepper? It worked in Godzilla 1985. The two of them don't quite buy the Harbor Master's claim about a permit, though. They believe there's some other reason he wants them away from his island as soon as possible. Lo and behold, on their way back to the ship, they happen across a small group of boats with the archaeological team. It seems 2 divers went down a while ago, yet they can't seem to find either of them.
There's one.
How will she? How do you end with the niche?
Well, for one thing, expand your vocabulary. Joe and Sam quickly haul the diver aboard, and his breathing is very labored, so Joe checks his pockets to make sure he's okay. Indeed, he's golden.
He's dead. Dead, huh?
He was just waiting to be rescued before he gave up the ghost. It's more dramatic that way.
You ask me, he died of fright.
Or Joe's butt chin is just that terrifying. Either way. The important thing, though, is that there's gold in them thar depths. Thus, Joe and Sam dive down and search for more. Not by combing the ancient shipwreck, mind you, but rather swimming around it, waiting for something interesting to happen. Giant fucking monster in orchestral cues? Yeah, that'll do.
What did you see, Sam?
I don't know. But whatever it was, I never want to see it again.
Isn't that the conversation I had with Creepy after we watched Gay Jesus? Nevertheless, their work here is done, and they get the water they need before they head out. Except, of course, little Sean comes up and tells them the harbor master wants to see him, and he's pissed.
Mr. McCartan, I hear you've got a beef.
You were snooping around out there. My divers told me.
They left out the little detail about being scared off by the giant sea monster, but...
After you load with water, you leave. Tonight.
The sooner the better.
Except for that hole needs 3 to 4 days for repair, you said earlier. What, are you going to resort to the cash shop for this shit? Giving it to Zingo will have to wait, though, as the night crew has a bit of a surprise on their hands. Horrifying death and destruction! So, the usual workload on third shift. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Or are you his sidekick, no shit lad? Naturally, the people's first instinct is to try and throw pointy sticks at the monster. After that fails spectacularly, they move on to some fucking rifle fire. Interestingly, this seems to be even less effective at driving the beast back. Don't worry though, utilizing some flaming sticks, the whole island sends the monster back into the sea from whence it came. That doesn't mean things are back to normal, mind you. A massive killer sea monster means the harbor master can't get his diving teams to work, stopping the flow of relics.
Well, there's a man, looks like he's got a real problem.
I'll bet he'd pay through the nose if you could solve it for him.
Because, of course, shipwrecked salvage crews are more than capable of dealing with gigantic oceanic beasts. Fuck it, maybe Joe just has a lot of experience in Monster Hunter. Initially, the rest of the islanders just want away from here on Joe's boat. McCartan won't allow that, though, so he, Joe, and Sam go inside for a chat, where Joe thinks he won't let them leave because, if they do, his secret's out.
Where did you get those?
Same place as you.
Dead people. Though mine were arguably much fresher. It's at this point that Joe pitches the idea of he and his salvage team actually taking that creature out for him. Thing is, this is tough work and will require payment up front. Knowing that McCartan has gold to offer, they take their ridiculously high payment and bid him farewell.
When will you start? Now. Why not?
Well, for one thing, your boat's not seaworthy. For another...
But how do you propose to kill a thing like that?
Oh, I don't know. Dynamite, maybe?
And do you even have dynamite? This isn't the kind of job where you can just wing it.
Ever stop to think what a thing like that might be worth alive?
Well, judging by his plans to smelt down ancient coins for the gold they're made of course not. So the plan changes from kill the giant sea monster to lure the giant sea monster with Joe in a bathysphere. It's kind of like deep sea fishing, except there's no hook, and you're the one ending up in the mouth of the catch. You know, I don't think it's going to be all that bad for you if this one turns out to be the one that got away. But what is the secret technique they've been keeping close to their chest, ready to pounce at any time and capture this massive creature?
Drop the nets! All hands on nets! Hurry up! Drop it!
Ah, yeah, it's like scooping the Loch Ness Monster up in a solo cup. Crazily enough, it works, though. The monster is captured and hauled aboard in short order. Also, news of this catch spreads like wildfire, with all of Britain learning about the latest blast from the past.
The monster may have been released from some vast suboceanic cavern far beneath the Earth's crust by unprecedented volcanic eruptions which occurred in the area last week.
Though other scientists state that they believe this creature may in fact be bovine excrement. It'll take a while to get this monster to its final destination, however, and that's plenty of time to bring some science types on board to pull a scientific analysis out of their ass, trying to explain the biology of a fantastic creature none of them have ever seen before.
There's one thing. The animal's skin should be kept wet with a continuous stream of water.
Okay, what else? Leave it in the sun and feed it after midnight? Of course, Sam and Joe are less than impressed with the scientists' offers for financial compensation.
Big deal. Take a look at this, Sam. It's from Dorking Circus in London. They offer $30,000 against 50% of the gross.
Thing is, while expanding human knowledge and educating the world on a new species is nice and all, the real money is just getting hordes of people to pay you to gawk at it. But what's this? Sean is a stowaway on their ship and doesn't want to wait until Act 3 to get the carnage rolling again, trying to free the beast from its confines.
You little nuthead! What do you think you're doing? Hey, take it easy.
Well, he's just trying to give the audience what they want. When you hear giant monster movie, you don't imagine a giant monster laying prone, tied down, and not moving for 30 minutes. You're just sitting there like, yep, it's a movie. It's a giant monster. I sure got what I paid for. With this scare taken care of, they assign a watchman to guard the beast while giving the kid his own cabin, and not so much interrogating him as calming him down with small talk.
Anyone ever see that thing before?
And why should anybody have to see it to know it's there?
Because it's called evidence backing up your claims. It's kind of important to be able to do that so the world knows you're not just talking shit. Oh, one last thing. The sentry guarding the monster? Yeah, he's fucking dead. Oh well, omelets and subordinates' lives and all that. No, by the way, they have finally reached London and happily wheel the monster, now named Gorgo, down to the circus where he'll be staying.
We bring you the arrival of Gorgo. This creature, which should have been extinct 10 million years ago, is truly an awesome sight.
Yeah, 10 million. Not only is that obviously not long enough to get back to the Mesozoic era, but what is this claim based on? Does it sound nice? Well, great. Then the sciences are just as legitimate as a fucking circus. The Dorkin Circus, to be specific, with its enigmatic owner, Dorkin, played by Martin Benson. Before we get to see the creature in full glory on the stage, first he's got to take the limelight to answer the various questions from the press. Some of them actually relevant.
That name Gorgo, does it have any special significance?
But my dear sir, of course. The monster of Greek mythology, the Gorgon. A creature so terrifying that the mere sight of it would turn a man to stone, excuse me.
So pay up and see it for yourself. Also, for some reason, even though the name is tied to Greek mythology, and you would think that that would be kind of public domain by now, still, the unofficial comic adaptations of this character renamed it to be safe to Gorga and Kagor. Anyway, it's time for Gorgo to be set up in his display pen. Don't worry, this is perfectly safe. The creature has been sedated, and everyone is sure to be extra careful, as it's obviously quite dangerous.
That's a hell of a dumb thing to do.
God damn, Joe beat me to the punch. Because of course all the tranquilizer in the world ain't shit compared to the invigorating power of flash photography. This means Gorgo is loose, rampaging over the handlers, crushing trucks, and causing explosions! Remember though, this is a professional operation, and a couple handy-dandy flamethrowers proved to be enough to push the creature back into its pen, preventing any premature climaxes in this movie. But in their hurry to get everything under control, Gorgo's tail swings and crushes Mike's ribcage in one fell swoop. Like seriously, it went swoop, and he fell. No bother, the show must go on, and what a show it is. Despite the 1 day's notice, Dorkin Circus has bought up advertising all over the fucking city, and gets ready for the first big exhibition of Gorgo to the ravenous public.
What's that, madam? Looks like your husband? Go inside and find out. 65-foot high Gorgo, and heavier than 6 elephants.
Hell, even looks like Gorgo's getting in the spirit of things. Hey, people, me Gorgo, rawr. Watch me kill a scuba diver. But Sam doesn't want to watch Gorgo kill scuba divers. He's too sad that Mike, that guy, well, he's no longer with us.
I'm as sorry about Mike as you are. It was a tough break, that's all.
But he's got a wife and 2 kids.
Okay, well, we'll send her some money.
But he's dead.
Yeah, you're right. His wife probably needed more condolences while she was still living with the motherfucker. Crying into their big fucking pile of money will have to wait, though. The science types say they have had a breakthrough, and these guys need to hear it right away.
The creature you have captured is not an adult specimen.
You mean it isn't fully grown?
No. In fact, we believe it is in rather early infancy.
Ah, damn, you gonna hit us with child labor laws? Rather, they predict that there is a mother Gorgo out there somewhere, and she's likely much fucking bigger. Thus, while the baby Gorgo is held quite easily with a little electric fence, Mama Gorgo is just waking up and wondering where the fuck her kid has run off to. rises. Said body count being actually pretty steep. This was a monster movie from back before we were automatically supposed to assume the beasts were big, cuddly teddy bears with laser breath, mind you. They're hulking forces of nature, and man's puny efforts to stop them are laughable at best.
Fire number 1 turret.
Though it's said that the director didn't really agree with the concept of using guns and shooting the monster. But not because guns are bad, but because he felt that the guns would actually work and kill the thing. It's like he actually didn't really know what all the rest of the movies in this genre were doing. As the military efforts fail, sightings of the beast continue, and the two guys are brought in to explain the apparent pattern that emerges.
Well, we were playing a stream of water on it during the passage. It was Professor Flaherty's instructions. Maybe it left some sort of track.
I see.
That's how you know it's a Western monster movie. If it were made in Japan, they'd have fallen back on psychic fairy women from another planet using advanced technology from an ancient age powered by love. So while the sightings continue, complete with a body count rising, Sam, in a drunken rage, decides to do the smart thing and just let the baby free. Sean, for some reason, now changes his tune and thinks it's not a good idea to let the two monsters reunite and not destroy London in the process. Therefore, Joe has to stop him. I highly doubt that's going to do anything to stop him. You might want to up the ante a little bit.
Stop it, Sam. You're crazy.
Or just repeat the same attack that worked so well last time. This means that the baby Gorgo is going to stay put in the circus, and the only one left who's going to go through any effort to free him is Mama Gorgo. Of course, the British Navy is still doing everything in their power to stop her, and failing, so they fall back on the net strategy that seemed to work so well to catch that baby earlier in the movie. The problem is Mama is much, much bigger and far stronger, tearing through the barricade easily.
I see.
Yes, it's Climax, I'm afraid. Good show, old chap. Hope you got decent homeowner's insurance. And holy fuck, what a climax it is! Seriously, I'm gonna summarize the fuck out of this because plot-wise, nothing really earth-shattering goes on, so to speak. The humans do make several attempts to stop Mama Gorgo, but it's pointless to bring them up because every single one fails spectacularly. The monster tears through London, destroying everything in its path, and killing the fuck out of countless civilians. Like, holy shit, the body count is higher than the fucking monster at this point. The whole ending is one giant orgy of death and destruction, and by giant, I mean it goes on for about 20 minutes straight. Buildings collapsing, the subway destroyed, and so many people killed. Spare the important characters, plot armor, and what have you. That way, when Mama Gorgo is finally reunited with Baby Gorgo, they can give a speech about how nature truly rules over man, who must be wary about being so quick to declare themselves the lords over it. And finally, the movie ends with the titular monster leaving London behind.
We're going back now. Back to the sea.
Just like Godzilla, you're probably thinking. Except, at the time this movie came out, there were only 2 Godzilla movies. In one, he was killed by the oxygen destroyer, and in the other, he was buried under shit tons of snow and ice. Godzilla hadn't done the Return to the Sea ending yet. Gorgo beat him to it. Anyway, that was Gorgo. And it's not bad, all things considered. It was praised upon its release for the special effects at work, and I can see why, even if some didn't age particularly well. No, I don't mean how obvious it is that Gorgo is just a guy in a suit. That's what you expect out of the genre, and it can be disappointing to some when it's not the case. I mean the very obvious use of blue screen effects all over the place. It might not be so obvious if it weren't for the fact that a lot of the scenes either suffer from a blue border around the characters, or parts of the subjects becoming invisible when superimposed on the scene. For 1961, the overall package and sense of scale it gives is extremely impressive, but these flaws do mar the experience. Storyline-wise, Gorgo is relatively basic, but it's held together well. The characters' motivations make sense, and the events lead into each other relatively logically. When it's obvious Gorgo is coming for Gorgo Jr. and Joe still fights to keep Gorgo Jr. under lock and key, it gets a bit iffy, but compared to the leaps of logic a lot of giant monster movie flicks give us, this is nothing. Overall, Gorgo is actually a decent example of the genre. Rather than paying homage to Godzilla by taking Godzilla and fucking up everything imaginable, they made a monster comparable to the king in many ways, but a creature of its own. You can read into the subtext if you want, and see it as a warning against greed over knowledge or excessive pride in one's own mastery of nature, but even if you don't and just want to kick back and watch a city get demolished, Gorgo certainly delivers, coming in at 3 tentacarps out of 5. For fans of kaiju flicks who might have avoided this because, ew, Westerners made it, I suggest you check it out. Both weeaboos and actual Japanese viewers, you might be surprised. Thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado, and remember, guns don't kill giant monsters. Giant monsters kill giant monsters.